Yesterday was a tough day because Pope Francis, one of the great popes, in my opinion, passed away just hours after sharing a very timely Easter message at the Vatican. He called on people to embrace those who are different or who are from different lands because we are all children of God. Now, his final message to us was that. Do you think it will resonate?
Gosh, I would sure hope so. It's interesting when people speak of the Pope right now, they talk about the type of Pope he was. There's liberal popes, there's conservative. When I think of this Pope, he was the most Jesus-like. You know, when you read of Jesus and what his word was and how he walked, this is what I think of, a person who lives their life this way. He also said at one point in 2013 regarding gay priests, if someone is gay and he searches for the Lord and has goodwill, who am I to judge? And these messages were what resonated with me, not as a Catholic, but just a Christian. The love thy neighbor, love all thy neighbors, and do not judge. And he lived that through his words and his actions.
I don't know if I love all my neighbors, though.
I love that you said that because as a Catholic, you know, my whole life, and all of you know this, I've spoken to many of you about it, I've struggled with Catholicism because of so many of the church's, the doctrines, especially when in regards to the LGBTQ plus community, in terms of the sex scandals. I've struggled with being a Catholic, but this Pope changed things for me, and Whoopi and I have spoken about that. And I remember I was having this discussion with you, Joy, about how I feel like there's this crisis of empathy in this country, that unless it happens to you, you can't feel the empathy of it happening to somebody else. They're gonna deport that person. It's not gonna affect my family, so I don't care that it's affecting others. And I was watching a 60 Minutes piece that he was interviewed on, and he said, we have to get over our hearts to feel again. We cannot remain indifferent in the face of such human dramas. The globalization of indifference is a very ugly disease that this country is suffering from. That's the kind of Pope that he was, and that's the kind of Pope that I hope will replace this Pope after the conclave.
I wonder, though, because there might be a backlash against how good he was and how much humility he had compared to some of the leaders in this world right now. But so there might be a backlash to it, and they'll get some conservative guy in there who, you know, is anti-gay and everything else.
I would just say I'm a Protestant, but I loved this Pope, and I loved how he advocated for refugees, which is just a core tenet of the Christian faith. He was the first Pope to ever visit Iraq and meet with Yazidi Christians who'd been displaced by ISIS. He brought Syrian refugees to Rome. I mean, he was just an incredible person and somebody we'll miss. And I know you met him personally.
Yeah. He was great. I mean, listen, he brought, and this sounds crazy, but he brought 100 comedians from around the world. 100 of us in to meet with him. And what he said was...
What are you doing?
What he said was, I want to laugh more. We all need to laugh more. And then he looked at the 100 of us and he said, what you do is very important. Because without you, it's a grayer day. Now, I don't know any other Pope in my lifetime. He's the close. My Pope was John the 23rd, who I was a little kid and saw him, and he was going by in a Pope-mobile, and he looked over and it was like, I see you. And I thought, I see you too. And this Pope, his thing is this. He grew up around refugees, you know. He understood what people needed. He got it. Now, whether you like it or not, refugees are with us around the world. So why be negative? Why not be positive and help, which is what he has always said, and help and walk in the grace of God? Because that's how that works.
One of the things that stands out, just pictorially is a picture of somebody like Musk and Trump who are cutting back on helping children around the world. You know, cutting back on services for sick children and et cetera. And then you see the Pope washing the feet of the poor. The contrast is astounding, really. As you were talking about the legacy and whether there's any legs to this. Yes, I think that those pictures should be put out there all the time because this administration is basically hurting children around the world with these cuts that they're doing.
and
USAID and all of this other stuff.
And hurting
it's a disgrace.
hurting other people. Just to put a button on that, you know, what he said when he saw Trump during the first administration with the building a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it. We know Mexico didn't pay for anything. He said, the Pope said this, a person who thinks only about building walls wherever they may be and not building bridges is not Christian.
No.
Well, you better tell that to some people. Well, you think they're Christians.
Listen, hopefully, the conclave will find a way to continue on his path, because what it has done is it seems to have brought people back because they're not afraid of being divorced, because the Pope wasn't mad about it. Because you're gay, Pope said, look, you love God, I love God, why am I mad at you? All of these things went on to bring people back into the church. And if the church is smart, they will not waste this. This is a legacy that has legs.